Welcome to another episode of Community Connections. I'm your host, Dan Salzer. Today we're joined by Marsha Blaine and Joyce Weston from the Beautification Committee. Ladies, thank you for joining me.
I'm glad to be here.
Marsha, I'll start with you. How did the Beautification Committee get its start?
So I've been in town a long time. My husband and I moved to town in '91. And in the early 2000s, they completely redid the entrance to Plymouth coming over the bridge when they redid the bridge. They put in the roundabout, they put in plants that were in the center, and then time passed. And the plants that were there died, and they ended up putting grass in. And the plants around the edges started looking a little rugged. And at that point, a couple of years ago, Joyce came to us and said, what can we do to make the entrance to Plymouth look better? And I'll turn it over to Joyce at that point.
Well, I wasn't the one that really initiated it. It was Steve Whitman, who works in the Enterprise Center, and Amy Bailey, who is well known around here as a great gardener. And they got together and decided to go to the town. So they went to the select board and said, we want to do something about this. Both Steve and Amy have very good connections with nurseries, and they decided to redo the roundabout itself. At that point, the surrounding gardens weren't even considered. So the first thing they did was to put cloth and wood chips over the roundabout to kill all the weeds, because at that point, it was just nothing but weeds.
Mm-hmm.
So I heard that this was going to happen, and I was ecstatic because every time I would drive into town, I would look at the area and just say, this looks untended, unloved, and this is our town. We should take better care of it.
It's our front door.
It's our front door,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very important to the university to have an attractive front door.
Mm-hmm.
So I joined their organizational meeting. And I said, well, I know a lot of gardeners, which I do. I'm an avid gardener myself, and I've worked on a couple garden tours in Plymouth. So I contacted all the people I knew who liked to garden and said, we have a job to do. So the center was left for a solid year with nothing on it but wood chips.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knew what was going on, so I think there's a lot of confusion. But we started to work on the gardens around the roundabout, and also the Silver Slope, which goes up to Silver Center. The Silver Center.
Yep.
Yeah. We have a really good group of volunteers who brought their own tools, the forks and shovels and whatnot, and we got mulch from PSU and from the town. Both of them gave us mulch, and it was transformed. I mean, it went from a weedy mess to something that looked like a real garden. So, and now, it's continuing on. The roundabout right now is kind of a disaster, but I guess we'll get to that right now.
We'll get to that,
We'll
but
get to that.
the construction and everything, it's understandable, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But it is such a great thing that it has been formed, the Beautification Committee, 2 years now. What are some of the big accomplishments that you both are proud of that you've started?
So I'm going to start with Joyce, because despite the fact that she keeps putting herself in the background, we would not exist. We would not have continued without the efforts that you have put into this group. Yeah, well, very true. So in the first year, one of the things that was lovely is that we've created a community. These gardeners think of themselves as a group. To me, that's a win right there. The second thing was that then we began to take ownership of particularly the circle and the slope going up to Silver. And everybody had like one, well, I know there's no corner to a circle, but everybody had a corner of the major circle and the slope. And we all kind of took ownership and made it look good. So that's one of the things, the community, and then just cleaning up the mess that was there to begin with. So that's kind of the first year.
Mm-hmm.
I'll turn it over to you for the second, and others.
Last summer we did a couple of really fantastic things. We raised money, mostly from the businesses on Main Street, and a few down on Tenny Mountain Highway. And we used that money to buy a nice bench that is made out of that plastic wood, Trex
Yeah,
material.
yeah,
I
the
don't know what they
recycled
call it.
material.
Mm-hmm.
And we installed that bench next to Sama's store with a foundation under it that was done by a clay mason. And he donated the materials and his labor. It would have been around $3,000. So he did that as a way of giving back to the community. So I think that it looks fantastic, and
It
it's
does.
used quite a lot. So that was one big thing. Another thing we did is we got some terrific award-winning daylilies from, just my name probably.
Janet Moorhead.
Janet Moorhead.
Mm-hmm.
When she's kind of trying to diminish her gardens a little bit. So we went over and picked out some daylilies of our choice and put them in on the silver slope. We have labels on each one so we remember what they are. And they're coming back great. They're doing well.
She wasn't kidding, by the way, when she talked about award-winning. Janet Moorhead
Yep.
wins awards all around the country for her amazing and beautiful daylilies.
Yeah,
Right.
as someone who puts the town newsletter together every week, seeing these stories come through from the committee is just, it's eye-opening and it's fantastic to see. Going back to the bench a little bit off script, why did you guys choose that location? What makes that spot so special?
I think there's a lack of benches in general in the town. And that place, I think a lot of people go to the store and they want to sit down and have their snack. There's no other place around there to sit and just enjoy the beauty of what we've done. Right now we have daffodils blooming, and there are all the tulips, the red tulips, which were put in by Katie up on the slope where the Echo House is. So I think it's a nice place to sit. And there's not much else available. Unless you're in the Commons, but that's about it. Or up in the hub.
Marsha, any other reasons you can think of why it went there?
Well, one, it's exactly what Joyce was saying. It is a good place to sit and just enjoy, seeing town, watching people go by. I'm amazed at the number of people who sit there and then you walk by and there's another person to talk to. It helps create community.
Wonderful. Now that, knock on wood, snow's gone, you can essentially think it's a new season for you guys here in the spring, heading towards the end of the college year. What do you guys have on the books? What are you guys planning for this season?
So first, we've already had Plymouth State students have come down to help with some of the cleanup, particularly over near the D&M building. And then Holderness School students have been in and done a pickup. If you know the path that runs south from the bridge to the park, they've done some pickup in there because it's a lot of trash.
Yes.
And there's only so much we can do. So essentially, we've been lucky they've been able to expand. And they've come to us first, but we've been able to expand what we've been doing. You might want to also talk about the flower boxes, which we added last year, that are also important.
Yeah, we asked Paul Turley to build the flower boxes and install them at the gazebo. And after he did that, he donated all his time for free. So that was wonderful. It was an unexpected gift. We have two people on our committee, Sharon Smith and Mary Baldwin, who have taken on the job of keeping those flower boxes seasonal. So as soon as it's planting time, they'll be doing something for spring. And last winter, I hope people noticed that there was a really nice display for Christmas.
Yes.
So that is going on. We also want to plant around the base of the gazebo. We're going to get hostas out of our own gardens because everybody has an abundance of hostas.
They're popping up everywhere
They
right
do,
now.
don't they?
And we're going to put them around the bottom of the gazebo. But right now, I'm waiting to talk to Scott Whedon about timing because the gazebo needs some repair before we do that. And there's no sense in us planting and then having them walk all over it. So I'm not sure when that's actually going to happen. But those are two of our spring projects. We're also adding plant material to the roundabout. The roundabout is going to be restored.
Okay.
And I think Grenese, the contractor, is going to help with the cost of replacing some of those plants. But also we're adding some materials in the Silver Slope and in the other gardens around. We have a woman who has taken on ownership of the triangles. What do they call them? The Tucker Triangles?
Tucker's Islands.
Tucker Islands,
Islands.
yes.
And we're debating what to do about Sign Island, which is another weedy mess. And it's very hard to work on because it's right in the middle of traffic.
And that's the one that
Yeah,
put
so
the
explain
signs.
about that. Where, if people aren't familiar, where are the triangles in the signage areas you're talking
Well,
about?
the Tucker Triangles are between the post office and is it the First National Bank on the other
bank.
side? The bank on the
Mhm.
other side, or the library. And there's 3 triangles in there that are not in bad shape.
Mhm.
They just need upkeep. They have some nice plant matter. We might move things around a little better. But the Sign Island is a small triangle. It's probably 8 feet by 4 feet in a triangular shape. And it's used for the town to advertise events that are coming up, like the concerts in the Common and things like that. Somebody put in daylilies years ago. It may have been the Parks Department, but the daylilies are totally infested with grass, and there's no maintenance of it. And when the sign is put down, they just sort of lay it on top of everything. So I think it needs another treatment, and we've been discussing what to do about that.
Again, that's the one that is right outside of Town Hall, across from Newberry's,
It's between Newberry's and Town Hall. Yeah.
just for reference.
And there's another big project we have going on this summer. So we were approached by a local Girl Scout, Ella Doucette.
I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah,
Yes.
Ella realized that there were welcome signs to Plymouth Main Street. I've lived here, as I said, over 30 years. I did not know those signs were there because they are covered with all sorts of invasive plants and they're minuscule. And so she has been raising money. She's done a lot of things all around town. You may have been able to take part in some of the gatherings that she's had, from musicians to providing essentially basketball, would be the right word, workshops, if you will. She's done a lot of things to help raise money and has raised almost $7,000. So we're going to have a sign coming in from, coming up Route 3, in from the South Main Street, and it'll be replacing the sign that's there right now. We have to get all the invasive pulled out, and Scott Whedon has told us that he will have that done by the town. So we'll have those pulled out.
Awesome.
We're going to have good dirt put in there, soil, not dirt, but good soil put in there, and then we'll be putting in plants after that sign gets in there. There's going to be another sign on North Main Street, maybe not exactly where the current one is, but we'll also be doing something similar there. Okay. So coming up with good places for them to be. Ella has been working with us since probably just before Christmas and working very hard. This is for her Gold Award for Girl Scouts.
We've announced it a few times through the newsletter and on the town website, also social media. So get involved if you can, help out this great cause. But speaking of money, obviously everything costs something to build, whether even if it's people donating time, they've got to come up with the materials. How do you guys raise money, and what can people do to help the cause?
I'll turn it over to you.
Well, our first fundraiser, which I mentioned earlier, was to the businesses on Main Street and the surrounding area. And we don't want to have to go back and hit the businesses again. I know that they're asked for things all the time. So we ask the community, we ask all of you looking right now, if you're interested in helping us out to purchase new plant materials and whatever else we need, we did help Ella with the sign. We gave her a pretty good donation. So our coffers are depleted at the moment. And the community can give just a small amount. Write a check to the town of Plymouth and mention Beautification Committee, and give it to Ann Abair at Town Hall. Because we have a dedicated account with the town, and she takes care of our money. We also could use more volunteers. So anybody who wants to volunteer, you can let the town clerk know. or pretty much anybody, I think, at town hall. They'll pass the information along to us.
Or if you see us working downtown, come see us.
Come
We're
on
happy to
by.
have additional
Yeah.
volunteers. We'll take your name and you'll get on our list.
Yeah.
And then when we get together, we're doing it in small groups. So usually somebody will send out a call. Hey, let's work on the center and of the circle on Friday morning. And whoever can then comes to the circle at 10 a.m. or whatever time we've decided. We are not necessarily always early morning people. But if it's getting hot, we do tend to go early in the morning. So we're usually mornings. We get out there and work for the morning for a couple of hours. And we do it over the course of time. And it's so much fun. It's a nice way to meet people. It's a nice way to get to know your neighbors as well.
I think the most important thing is the satisfaction of seeing it look so nice. It just, every time I go by, I just say, oh, thank God. Thank God that this happened.
Yeah, for someone who was a student originally at Plymouth State, having come up here as a child to Cold Springs and Ashland and had a timeshare there with my family, and knowing the old bridge, seeing the old intersection, just the changes have been outstanding over the last few years for sure. Are there any other, I know we've talked a lot about the downtown area. Are there any other discussions about expanding elsewhere in town?
We have talked about that. There was a request that we do something at Smith Bridge, which is coming up on its 25th anniversary pretty soon. So actually, I'd like to push to get that repainted. We talked about heading out that way. And if we get additional volunteers, we might be able to do that. But right now, our own group is kind of stretched as thin as we can be, which is why it was really nice to have the Holderness School come and clean up the area along the river. There's a garden down by Green Street, the parking area, that could definitely use some attention. But right now, our group is, how many people do you have?
On a regular basis, probably 15.
Yeah, it's a fairly small group. So we can't really spread ourselves much thinner now.
So come help us.
Yes, so come help us. Yes.
It's been a delight having you both here. Anything else you want to get across to the public before we sign off here today?
Oh, there's something we forgot to mention, and that is that we're working with the Girl Scouts, I think it's Girl Scouts, on pollinator boxes as well. And we won't put them right in the downtown area, but we're thinking maybe down near the amphitheater and a couple places that are a little out of the way. Fox Park would be a good place to encourage pollinators. We do try to use native plants as much as we can. So, it's nice to encourage not just bees, but all kinds of pollinators.
Wonderful. Marcia, anything else you'd like to add?
Just come join us. We'd love to have you. And again, if you'd like to make a donation, please do.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us here today. Thank you to the both of you for joining us here on set, and we wish you the best of luck in the season.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.